Hello and welcome to another episode of the Say Yes Movement podcast with John, Heather, and David. We got a special guest this week. Super excited to have David with us. He's going to be sharing some amazing insights. So let me tell you a little bit about David before we get started. So David Fairweather is a registered psychotherapist, certified coach, and the author of The Winning Mindset. He creates custom brain training tools for business owners and executives who want to perform better under pressure while feeling less stressed. David, I definitely want to learn more about that, feeling less stressed and more fulfilled. David regularly shares guided meditations and practical advice on training the business brain on his YouTube channel at D Fairweather, which I'll include a link below so you can get access to that directly. Well, David, welcome and thank you for being here with us.
You're very welcome. Good morning, both of you.
David, I'm so happy that you said yes to us to have you on our podcast. We love your work. We love the winning mindset concept. It's part of the Say Yes philosophy as well. But we'd love to start our Say Yes Movement podcast with sharing something that you said yes to that either got you out of your comfort zone or positively impact someone around you. So what's the story you'd like to share?
Well, over and above saying yes to the Say Yes podcast, which I did this week, I've just put a concerted effort into my YouTube channel. I've said yes to consistently posting at least 5 or 10 videos every single week, which is a new thing for me and slightly scary because now the train is going. I just have to keep going, and that's a big commitment for me. So I'm saying yes to that right now, and that's my priority.
I love that you said that slightly scares you, because that is what we are asking people to do. Say yes to something that gets you out of your comfort zone. Yeah. And I'd love to actually deep dive into why that's making you just a little bit uncomfortable. But before we go there, John, what did you say yes to this week?
Yeah, well, listen, I'm with David. I said yes to, we too are growing our YouTube channel. So we're getting our viewership there. We're sharing a lot more content and links directly to our channel. So David, you and us, we have the same mission to get people onto YouTube to make that impact, right? Because it ties back to our word of the year, Heather and I, impact. And we want to continue to grow it. So yeah, we said yes to also growing our YouTube channel this week. Heather, what about you? What are you selling? What are you saying yes to this week?
You know, you're both inspiring me to think about the word of the year, impact, and how, you know, when you say you want to positively impact those around you, it can be a little bit scary because you're going to get out of your comfort zone. And, you know, I've been putting little breadcrumbs down, but saying yes to writing with you, John, and writing our Say Yes Movement podcast book is something that I'm going to say out loud. And I've actually started to pull in some of the ideas, and it just needs to happen. So I'm actually preempting saying yes to that, but saying it with a powerful action behind it. So that's what I'm going to celebrate. So David, I want to know more about this winning mindset. Tell me about saying yes to writing your first book. And it's actually not your first book anymore, but it was the first one that you were able to put behind the covers of your book. Tell us more about the winning mindset.
Well, it was an idea that kind of came out of frustration. I was in the middle of a 120,000 word book that my coach at the time, a guy in England, Jonathan Chase, who sadly passed away a couple of years ago, he just said to me, no one gives a damn about your book. They don't want to read all this background. Just give them a short, snappy, concise what to do book and stop investing too much time in the albatross that's going to sink you, which upset me at first, but then really got me thinking that the shorter I could make a book and the more I could make it not just a fat business card that tricks people into buying an about me, but actually full of exercises and practical advice, the more I really committed to that winning mindset platform. And as you know, Heather, because you were so kind to read through the first drafts and give me some really great ideas, it was a short labor of love of 6 weeks to write and then 4 months of intense editing to really polish it up before publishing.
Wow, I love that. Listen, so what was, wow, there's so much good things there. So how did you know, and actually just kind of building on top of that, David, how did you know what to focus on specifically in the book?
I wanted to just take people through a sequence that was, you know, stepwise like sequences are, that would take them from where they were at first, which is maybe struggling and skeptical, to explaining everything and getting to the end as quickly as possible. So the most important thing I did was figure out what the 12 chapters were called and what 3 to 5 main points I'd make before I started fleshing it out and writing it. So I was really determined to just get a skeletal form set up, which meant I could basically add to any chapter whatever I was feeling like writing that day, and it would all join together like a jigsaw puzzle.
Beautiful.
John, I feel like we're getting a leader's
That's why I'm
guide to
asking
how to
questions,
write
Heather.
our book. And this is the power of bringing on guests, but also, asking questions and being curious about someone's process for doing things. Because oftentimes you can just follow someone else's process to get to a result that you don't know how to get to yourself. And that is, of course, a neurolinguistic programming process. You want to mirror the person, but also study them. And John, you're super good at this. David, you are an expert in this as well. But why don't you say more about that, John? Because I think this is a really good moment that both of us are like, we're listening with the intent there.
Yeah, well, I think the process you're referring to is modeling, right? So one of the things that, and actually just to kind of preface this too, David too has a background in neurolinguistic programming, because I believe, David, that's how you met Heather initially, right?
Yeah, absolutely. NLP course.
NLP, yeah, neurolinguistic programming for those of you that are listening. So and what I love about this is community that's built around some of the people that you meet in a program and a course that become like close, friends and, people that we kind of share ideas with. And, just learning from you, David, or even right now, asking the question, how did you know how to sink down and, to make sure that you were getting the right information, modeling from you, right? So my question would be, as you were putting this book together, like, what did you want the reader to really walk away with? Like, how did you know what was important for that?
Because it was a selfish, indulgent project that I could make altruistic by sharing with others. So one of the great comments I got from someone was, how did you put 10 years of lessons and experience into 240 pages? It was everything that I'd learned over that 10-year period, but condensed down into something hopefully witty and funny and enjoyable and entertaining to read. But it was my journey presented to other people in an Ericksonian story.
Ooh, Ericksonian. So now we're talking and we're diving into Ericksonian. For those that are familiar with it or not familiar with it, is based around hypnosis, right? So are you telling me this, you're hypnotizing us to read your book through the content that you're putting up there?
Everyone's always hypnotizing you all the time, whether you know it or not. And so just knowing that giving people fascinating ideas to absorb, it doesn't have to be thought of as hypnosis, which ultimately neuro-linguistic programming is another way to absorb someone's attention. And then once you've got their mind open, you can make little adjustments and surgical psychological changes in someone's mind.
Oh, I love that. And it's kind of tricky too. Heather, are you taking notes? I hope you're taking notes, right?
I don't need to take notes. I'm letting my mind open up and listen to all of these great ideas. But David, you don't just write about this. You actually put this into your everyday practice and you make it fun. And one of the things that I think is a really cool action that you do is you do street magic. Do you want to tell us about that?
Oh,
it's been a long time since I've done that. But yeah, it's fascinating to just, I went out a few times several summers ago just to film complete strangers, interviewing them about their knowledge of hypnosis and how the brain works. And if they were up for it, which, every other person was, about 80% of those people that said yes to be on film ended up forgetting their name, having their hands stuck to their head, not being able to take a step forward, even if it was to pick up a $50 bill that they could be given gladly. And so they just showed that we all have an ability to utilize our daydreaming state when we're awake and even think that we're alert and not hypnotized. But you get hypnotized when you're watching a movie. And if you in the middle of a zombie apocalypse movie, someone taps you on the shoulder, that is definitely a zombie until your mind kind of recalibrates and figures it out. A little bit like the little ball of dust that falls on you in the attic is definitely a spider about to bite you until you get out of it. So
Yeah.
we all get drawn into things and then just respond to them without thinking. And that's really what I think hypnosis is, just letting yourself go into that state, which can be a lot of fun to do with a complete stranger on camera.
Well, David, if you're going out this year, please let me know. I can have my hand stuck to my head so it doesn't leave the whole time. I can only imagine what that would be like live in person on the streets. And I'm guessing on the streets of Toronto. Is that accurate?
At the beaches, Dundas Square, whatever it's called now.
Yeah.
Which would be another neuro-linguistic programming thing, to change the name of something, thinking it changes the concept of something. Like the garbage man is the refuse disposal expert or something. But I won't be doing that this year, John. I got other focuses.
Oh, okay. Well, yes, you're building out your YouTube channel. So tell us a little bit more. Tell us a little bit more about that and what people can walk away with when they listen to your channel.
Right. Well, people have always responded really positively to the guided meditations I put up there. So I thought, well, let's do loads more of those then. And I know that the more people that subscribe to the channel, the more people get shown it and the more the algorithm likes me. So that's the commitment that I've made for this year, saying yes to that consistent publishing. And it's a mixture of brain training tools for high performers and guided meditations for people suffering from stress, anxiety, or sleep issues, which, let's face it, if you're a high performer, you're a business executive or a leader, you might suffer from a lot of tension and stress from the really hard battle of the day. And so these resources are to help people relieve themselves of that, let go of the stress, find relaxation, and not wind themselves up so much, allow themselves to unwind, which is good, because there's always those two states, like we're hungry, we eat, we're tired, we sleep, we're stressed, we need to relax. But less people do the relaxation, they get really stressed, they tend to wind themselves up and then get stuck in that. And I know what that feels like, because I'm a recovering type A personality.
David, there's, the Say Yes movement is all about getting people out of their comfort zone and realizing that they're actually saying no to things that scare them or make them uncomfortable or cause what I call good stress. And they're saying yes to things that might be causing them negative stress, overeating, overworking, not enough sleep. These guided meditations that you do, and I love listening to your voice. It's very hypnotic. Imagine that. It's like you practice this for your whole life. But, is there a couple tips that you can give to help people say yes to something that scares them just a little bit?
Well, neuroscience tells us that the most encouraging thing that we can do is figure out the absolute worst case scenario of not doing it.
Oh, tell us more
We're
about that.
far more likely to run away from a scary future than go towards a future, or a good future, as I think that people will work really damn hard to stop something painful from happening, but they won't work really hard to get a bit more comfortable if they're already comfortable. And so that's really the process. If someone wants to lose weight, imagine being lifted out of your house by a crane and the shame and embarrassment of that would make someone, oh, no, put down that cream cake. Thinking about the worst case scenario. Same thing for Alcoholics Anonymous. One of my mentors works with that particular movement and consults for them. And getting people to think about, well, if I have this drink, I'll be happy, I'll have a good time at the party, but that's short-term thinking. If they could extrapolate that to, well, I'll have this, I'll have a good time tonight, wake up with a hangover tomorrow, drink again, get drunk. Pretty soon I'll be on the streets, homeless, lost my family, lost my wife, lost my kids, lost my house, lost my car, and probably singing country music at that point. Shudder the thought.
David, that's extreme. So for anybody that's listening and they're thinking, well, that's not going to happen to me. I'm just going to have that one drink, or I'm just going to eat that one cream pie, or I'm just going to have fun. Like, how do you connect the dots for them in the work that you do?
Well, what you're describing is just thinking that keeps them in a comfort state. Oh, that won't happen to me. The thing is that anything that's ever happened to a human being can happen to us. We don't like to think about it. We could lose a leg, we could lose our lives, but we just like to pretend, oh no, I'm going to live forever and everything's going to be fantastic. And it's great optimism, which might help them live longer. But if they needed to have a better diet or stop a bad habit, that's actually not going to help them live longer. That delusional thinking of, oh, I'm going to be okay, is actually the problem. So I like people to have balance, because there's good in life, there's bad in life. If anyone's, oh no, it's just good, that's delusional thinking. There's like I say, there's tension and relaxation. There's daytime, nighttime. There's famine and there's feast. And we need to just be aware that those two things constantly exist, because you can't have up without down, and you can't have dark without light.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
The terrible things could happen. So just getting people exposed to that, admitting that, but then changing the focus quite quickly to all the good stuff. Once you've kickstarted them or ignited them into, yeah, I've got to do something about it, then focusing on all the positive stuff. And if they're about to make a slip off the wagon or whatever the habit is that they've been building, just pointing out how that would be ultimately devastating if that was the beginning of it all falling apart.
yeah. Well, it kind of reminds me of toxic positivity, right?
Mm.
Like that's a thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Listen, I love being positive for the most part, but I know, and you're touching on some really important things here. Like there's always another side to it.
Yeah.
And we have the choice. And I love that you mentioned that, right? Like we have the choice to decide which path we want to go down, knowing that there are two paths, the paths that take us to where we want to be, or the path that takes us to ultimate devastation. And it's kind of funny to play a worst case scenario, because it's not something I personally do.
People don't like doing that.
Yeah, but to just quickly flip over to something that's a little bit more positive is, it's like, wow, you know what? It doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah, I mean, you just light the neurology up, NLP speak. And then once that neurology is lit up, all the associative connections and neuro links are there. So then you can start to build a different neurological pathway into a more positive life, but not if you haven't lit up the problematic pathways that are currently running the habits.
David, say some more about that, because I think, for our audience, we have leaders that are aspiring to be the next level of their career. They want to be the best humans possible, but of course they have patterns that they haven't acknowledged or even know about just yet. So how do you go about figuring that part of your life out?
Self-reflection, being asked difficult questions by someone outside of your head.
Okay.
Because your brain its number one job is to keep you safe, and it wants efficiency. So it's not going to ponder something difficult and arduous that might actually scare you. And so it's just easier to do it with a third party or another person that you can feel safe and comfortable to be vulnerable with. So getting someone to see what their life might look like from outside of their head or in a third person perspective, as John Grinder, one of the co-creators of NLP, really forces his ideas about on students, because that third person perspective is an incredibly powerful perspective where we're less associated into the pain and the anguish, and we can kind of just see things from outside with a little bit of separation. That makes it easier.
Yeah,
I love that.
I love that too. Yeah. No, go ahead, Heather.
No, I'm looking at the time and I can't believe this conversation is already at our time limit. So David, if you were to give one call to action to our, we've touched on changing your mindset, having a winning mindset, deep diving into what are your patterns of behavior, but we'd love to give our audience something they can do in the next 24 hours that will move them towards saying yes to something that's going to make their life better. What would that call to action be from your perspective to really drive a winning mindset?
Okay. Well, the easiest thing someone could do is just sit back and absorb a guided meditation or a brain training tool. And one of the most popular ones I have on my YouTube channel at David Fairweather is something I created at York University when I worked with nurses who had to perform better under high pressure. I got them to think about the things they could control, the things within their control, and let go of everything they couldn't control. So that audio learning anxiety reduction is available for someone to listen to. And this evening, well, as we're recording this, I will have released an 8-hour fall asleep version of that so that someone can listen to it and then just allow the music to take them deeper. There's a shorter 35 or 40-minute version and then a quick 20-minute version. And any of those versions of that audio would help someone enter a more open state of mind and really start to get a better perspective, because perspective is really the word to think of with the good and the bad of everything. It's having that healthy perspective, and that audio really helps people.
I love that, David. We'll have the link for our audience members, and thank you for making those recordings to help people really drive a different mindset for themselves, that winning mindset. John, over to you.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm going to go listen to that today. I'm going to jump in and then listen. Who doesn't need a little bit more relaxation, a little bit more calm, and a little bit more focus on the things that they can control, right? Like it's so important. It's beautiful. Well, thank you, David, for being on the podcast with us here at the Say Yes Movement. And for all of you that are listening in to this episode, thank you. Just remember, when you shift your mindset, you shift your life. Wishing you all a great one. And David, thank you again. Have a great one. Take care.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone, for listening.